All right, back at it here on a beautiful Thursday. By the way, programming note tonight, 6 o'clock, Just the News, No Noise on Real America's Voice. I'll have a special report on the Chinese students arrested trying to bring fungus and ringworm, among other pathogens, into the United States. Special report tonight, Just the News, No Noise, with John Solomon and myself reporting. You'll want to catch that on Real America's Voice TV. Now joining me, Senator Roger Hauck. He represents Michigan's 34th Senate District. Senator, welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thanks for having me again.
All right, so the 34th Senate District, give the folks a quick reminder.
Okay, it's Gratiot, Isabella, Mecosta, Gladwin, Clare, Osceola. I have the full counties there. And then I have parts of Lake, Bay, Midland, Saginaw, and Clinton County. So it's a big area. Nice area.
At first it sounds like you're up north, and then it sounds like you're not. So are you up north or you're not?
Kinda.
Kinda.
I belong to the Northern Caucus, if that helps out anything.
Yeah, sort of. Yeah, Clinton County's not up north, but yeah.
You talk about the ice storm that happened up in northern Michigan, and you're 100% right. It's the biggest thing is usually when there's a fire up there, the trucks can get there, but I mean the roads and everything's blocked.
Right. So I mean, my understanding, and you can help me with this, Senator. My understanding is the county parks are still closed. The country club in Gaylord, for example, not even allowed to open because the insurance company says until you clean up all those broken trees and widow makers that are hanging up there, we won't even insure your golf course. I mean, that's and all the county parks and all the state parks closed because the trails are all dangerous, right?
Yeah. Yes. It's I was up there about 3 weeks ago, and it's absolutely devastating what happened. So
right.
Yeah.
So the fact this is the most predictable natural disaster of my lifetime. There is going to be a fire. There's going to be a massive fire like we haven't seen since 1881 in this state when a fire burned from Lake Michigan to Lake Huron. I mean, I'm just telling the folks.
It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when, right?
That's right.
When is it going to happen? Yeah.
I would guess not this year. It's got to dry down for a full season, I think. I think next summer is the most likely. And as the DNR, I just had somebody send me a note. The Jeffrey sent me a note saying, hey, do you think the DNR will do some preventative burns, to get ahead of it? No, was my answer. No.
Yeah. Well, you never know.
Yeah, I kind of do. And apparently by your reaction, you kind of know as well, Senator. Yeah. What's the DNR going to do? Not a damn thing. Just so we're clear on that.
Well, they need more money, right?
Yeah. In fairness, right now, where I live in southern Michigan, I think there's one CO for 2 counties.
Yeah.
One CO for 2 counties. That's it. And, anyhow. All right, so let me ask you about this. The reason you came here today, right to work. Michigan is the first and only state that's ever gone back on right to work, right? We're the only state that's gone and reapplied a prevailing wage and other radical leftist nonsense. Hey, if we're really lucky, we can get somebody like Mamdani, the guy they just pushed through the Democratic primary in New York City, to run this state. Boy, why don't we just go right to the final conclusion of stupidity?
Let me tell you a few things. First of all, the prevailing wage, right?
Yeah.
They're dropping a bill. I think it's Senator Cherry is dropping a bill to exempt the schools that bid out their projects before we vote a prevailing wage in, because if we don't, they're not going to have enough money to do the projects paying prevailing wage.
Right.
So what's that tell you about prevailing wage?
It costs you and I a crap load of money. That's what it tells me. It costs you and I a lot of money, right?
A lot of money. Not only that, all the solar and wind projects in Michigan, we have to pay prevailing wage for that also.
Oh, speaking of the DNR, hold on. In your neck of the woods, the northern part of your district, they want to use D9 Caterpillars to bulldoze state forests to put in solar panels. Boy, that sounds like it's good for the environment.
Sounds really good.
Who are these geniuses?
Well, when it comes to green energy, nothing, doesn't matter if an eagle gets caught in a windmill, right? Just as long as it's there.
The Cuisinart of birds of prey, windmills. Yeah.
Yeah.
Chop, drop, Julian fries, whatever you want. You got it, Senator. Anyhow, so right to work, prevailing wage. So prevailing wage costing us a pile of money. Did it improve anybody's life? No. Didn't improve anything.
The big argument is that prevailing wage jobs, it's better quality, it's safer. But I mean, they use the same building inspectors, right? They use the same process. I'm a builder. I build, I'm not going to build any safer than anyone else, and the building inspector is going to make sure that they inspect it. But Steve, the bill that I have, this is the biggest injustice of any of these packages. So if you get money from DHHS, say you're a group home or something, and your workers are there, and ever since I got here, we've been trying to increase the wage of these workers because they don't make that good of money and it's hard to get them and it's hard work. You now, without a vote, without talking to anybody, belong to a union and have to pay union dues. So what my bill would do would codify the Janus ruling that the Supreme Court did probably 2 or 3 years ago, which states that the federal government or a state, municipality, county, city cannot force anyone to join a union. But I mean, what you are being forced to belong to a union, and you didn't even vote whether you wanted to belong to a union or not. Which I have no problem with unions. If you're in a shop or wherever, grocery store, hotel, and you want to belong to a union, then belong to a union. But at least you have the opportunity to vote for it.
Right. You could say, no, that's not what I want. That's not what they're offering. That's not what they're offering at all. In fact, they're not offering. They're saying this is what you have to do. Look, people don't realize this. 1979, the United Auto Workers Union had more than 1.5 million members. Today it has less than 400,000, and less than half of those even work in the auto industry. These unions they don't have the money they once had. They're trying to scramble to get money back any place they can. That's why they'll unionize anything, right? Yeah. They'll unionize a coffee shop.
If they can, And you know what? In all honesty, the way our state's worked out, unfortunately, we don't have, we don't have right to work or whatever. But if the people in that coffee shop want to become a union and they vote to become a union, then they can become a union. But I mean, my gosh, you shouldn't be forced to become a union. I wonder how many of these people are surprised when they see a union due deducted from their paycheck.
Yeah, I'm looking. I want to make sure that I'm right about these numbers. I know that I'm right about just over 1.5 million in 1979. 580,000 retired in U.S., Canada, Puerto Rico. I mean, they can't support that. So the numbers I've got, I think it's just under 400,000 now. UAW member. It is. There it is. 400,000. My numbers are right. Good God, thankfully I do my homework. I thought for a second that maybe it was 600,000, but it's 400,000, less than half of which work in the auto industry. It's nuts. Anyhow, we need to get right to work back in the state. You're never going to do it until you get control of the Senate and a Republican governor again. Is that possible? Yes. We got 30 seconds for the last word.
Very possible. Very possible. We are working on it. We've been working on it since day one. I was in the majority in the House. I'm in the minority in the Senate. I do not like it. I think a lot of the business community thought that the Democrats wouldn't go as radical as California, but we've seen they've went more radical than California. Yeah. So we are going to get the governor and the Senate back.
Do you look forward to Governor Whitmer being president? Joking. Just joking. Just stop.
Are you going to jump on the bed? Why don't you come out and endorse her right now on your show?
I'm your guy. I'll be your Huckleberry. All right, Senator. Thank you so much. Greatly appreciate it.
Thank you, Steve. Yeah,
bye. Senator Roger Hauck. Having a good time on a Thursday. I'll be right back.